Hey guys. Alright, so I figured I'd do one more of these. I'm gonna have to get used to doing quite a few of them to get through a lot of my different pin sections, so sorry if there's like too much light in here. I'm kind of in front of a window, but anyway. This one is called Beekeeping Terminology, and it is from Acre Life, Grow, Raise, Preserve, and this just goes over the different terms and stuff that are applied to beekeeping and just kind of how to understand the words and terms that go with it. So, there are many words that I didn't know when I first became interested in beekeeping, and I don't. It just seems like there's too much light. Sorry. Here is a list of common terminology that every beekeeper should know before they get started with their first hive. Apiary. I think it's apiary, not apiary. Apiary. The place where bees in their hives are kept by a beekeeper, also called a bee yard or bee community. Apiculture. The keeping of bees, especially on a large scale. Bee bread. Mixture of honey and bitter yellowish-brown pollen stored up in honeycomb cells. Used by nurse bees for feeding the larvae, drones, and the queen. Bee brush, a soft brush for removing bees from the honeycomb. Beehive, a container for housing a colony of honeybees. Bee space, the space a little less than a quarter inch that provides for the passage of bees in a hive. Bee veil, a protective device of fine fabric or wire mesh worn on the head by beekeepers when working with bees. Beeswax, the substance that is secreted from the abdomen of the worker bee. The bees use this wax to build their comb. Boardman feeder, a device for feeding bees that consists of an inverted jar with an attachment allowing access to the hive entrance. Bottom board, the floor of a beehive. Brood box. Brood, immature bees in the form of eggs, larvae, or pupa. Brood box, usually the bottom box of the hive containing the brood, also called the brood chamber. Brood capping, worker bees cover the cells of mature pupa with a mixture of wax and hair during their non-feeding period. Burr comb, small pieces of comb outside of the space the beekeepers want the bees to build the comb. Cappings, the inner layer of beeswax found over the full cells of honey. Colony, all of the worker bees, drones, and queen and developing brood living together in one hive. Home, a mass of hexagonal wax cells built by honeybees, built to contain their brood and stores of honey. Comb foundation, a man-made structure consisting of thin sheets of beeswax bearing the impression of comb cells on both sides, inserted into frames by the beekeeper to provide the bees with guidance for how he or she would like them to build the comb. Draw comb, cells that have been built out of honeybees from the comb foundation in a frame. Drone, male honeybee that is made up of larger cells in which Drone, the male honeybee whose main purpose is to impregnate the queen. So I got ahead of myself. Drone comb, comb that is made up of larger cells in which drones are reared. Also where honey and pollen are stored. I really don't like all that face. Sorry, I've got to try to fix this. This is bugging me. Okay, it's a little better. It was shining and reflecting, and I didn't like it. I know you're looking at the ceiling. I'm sorry, guys. I usually set it on my stove, and I have something in the oven, so I didn't want to put my computer up there. There just really isn't a very good place to do this here. Dysentery, a condition of adult bees characterized by severe diarrhea. usually caused by long confinement from poor weather conditions, starvation, or low-quality food. Symptoms: brown or yellowish streaks on the front of the hive or freckles visible on white combs only. Field bee. Worker bees that collect nectar, pollen, water, and propolis for the colony. Flight path. The direction bees fly when leaving their colony, and usually in opposite direction returning to their colony. This being the case, don't point the hive entrance where people are most likely to pass. Frame. Oh my gosh, my back hurts. Having problems with my lower back. Frame. A piece of wood or plastic designed to hold the honeycomb. Fume board. A rectangular cover the size of a super which has an absorbent material on the underside. A chemical is placed on the material to drive the bees out of the supers for honey removal. Hive. A container for housing a colony of honeybees. Hive tool. A flat metal device with a lifting hook at one end and a flat blade at the other, used to open hives, pry apart, and scrape frames. Honey. A sweet, viscid fluid produced by bees from the nectar collected from flowers and stored in nests or hives as food. Larva. The second stage of bee metamorphosis, a white, legless, grub-like insect. Nectar. A sweet liquid that is secreted by the nectaries of a plant. It is the chief raw material of honey. Nuke or nucleus. Hive. A man-made enclosure where a small starter colony of bees is kept until it has grown to a larger colony. A nucleus hive usually contains 2 to 5 frames. I'm hot. Nurse bee. Young bees who feed and take care of the developing brood, the drones, and the queen. Pollen. The fertilizing element of flowering plants, consisting of fine, powdery, yellowish grains or spores. It is the honeybee's source of protein. Propolis. Propolis. A brownish, resinous material of waxy consistency collected by bees from the buds of trees. Used as a cement in repairing and maintaining the hive. Pupa. Pupa. The third stage in the development of the honeybee, when it changes or pupates from a larva to an adult bee. The queen. The queen bee is the only reproductive female in the colony. Her head and thorax are similar in size to that of the worker. However, her abdomen is longer and more plump than a worker. A queen cell. A specialized elongated cell in which the queen is reared. It is about an inch or longer and hangs down from the comb in a vertical position. Robbing. Stealing of nectar or honey by bees from other colonies, which happens more often during a nectar dearth. Dearth. Royal jelly. A highly nutritious secretion of the pharyngeal glands of the honeybee. Fed to the very young larvae in a colony and to the queen larvae. Scout bee. Worker bees searching for a new source of pollen, nectar, propolis, and water. Smoker. A device in which materials are slowly burned to produce smoke, not flames, used to subdue bees. It is important to use a material that produces a cool smoke as not to harm the bees. A super. A hive body or box normally placed above the brood chamber. Used for the storage of surplus honey which the beekeeper will harvest. Swarm. A large number of honeybees and their queen leaving the hive to start a new colony elsewhere. Worker bee. A female bee whose reproductive organs are underdeveloped. Workers collect nectar, pollen, water, and propolis and rear brood and carry out most of the other colony duties. Worker bees make up the vast majority of bees in a normal and healthy colony. And that is all there is on that one. That just gives a list of some beekeeping terms that are necessary to know, obviously. And it's 4:58. I have to be at work at 7, so probably not going to do any more tonight. I'm probably going to do at least 2, maybe. I don't know. I know I'll do one tomorrow. problem I'm going to have is we have a mandatory meeting at work tomorrow. Kind of stupid, but whatever. Especially since all of us know what it's all about, and it's dumb because it's all been said already. So anyway, but that's all of the bee terms on that section, and I will get this video up there, and I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a good night.